This is still okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening to everybody here who came to participate in this live with Professora Rita. She will be talking about intermediality and the study of literature, right, Rita? From page to screen and stage. And it's a wonderful opportunity to meet all our comunidades, all our communities. So we have our postgrad students, our EADs, which is great, and we have our graduação face-to-face students. So it's great, this merging of students here from our Faculdade de Cultura Inglesa. Rita, it's a great pleasure to have you here, and especially talking about literature that we all love. So it's over to you now. How would you like us to organize your lecture here, Rita? Questions?
Well, I think we can leave the questions to the end of the presentation, but
Perfect.
While I am talking, you can actually write them on chat. So maybe Marilisa can help me answer them.
I will mediate.
And okay, I'll try to leave like 10 to 5 minutes at the end for questions. Okay, so I'll try to be very quick. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, all right. So first of all, I'd like to thank Marilisa and Simone for this invitation. I'm very happy that I can talk about something that I really like, which is theater and the Irish theater in particular. And I'm also very thankful for all of you who are here in the evening. You should have been watching a soap opera or anything like that, but you stopped that and you were here with me. So thank you so much. Let me start by sharing my PowerPoint with you. Just a moment. Okay, great. So the title of this talk is Intermediality and the Study of Literature from Page to Screen and Stage. Let me explain first the second part of the title, From Page to Screen and Stage, and then I'll be talking about intermediality. Okay, and that's the Irish stuff. So let's get it down. So I will be talking about this short story in particular, The Birds, by Daphne du Maurier, and she actually published this short story for the first time in 1952. You might not have heard of it, but I'm quite sure that most of you know this film, Hitchcock's The Birds. Okay, the film was released in 1963. I know it was a long time ago, but that is a classical and a very famous film, probably you are familiar with. So we have From Page, the short story, to the screen, the film. All right. Oh, that's lovely, Rafael. And then we also have another work, another work of literature, let's put it like that, that comprises the stage. So Conor McPherson, the Irish dramatist, wrote The Birds, and he said that he had never watched the film. I really doubt, but anyway, that's what he said. However, he read many times The Birds by Daphne du Maurier. He loved the story so much that he decided to put it on stage, to transform it into a play. Okay, great. So today our agenda will be, by the way, the play was first staged in 2009 in the Gate Theatre in Dublin. All right. Somebody wrote here that, let me see. Oh, I lost it.
It's Raphael. He didn't know it was a book too, and
exactly.
He has just put it on his list.
Exactly, because most people knows that it is a film, but they, it wasn't said that the film was actually based on the short story by Daphne du Maurier. Okay, right. So today our agenda will be I'll be talking about the concept of intermediality. Then I'll be briefly tackle the theory of adaptation. After that, we will be talking about the setting, where and when each of the works were happened. For example, the short story, where does it take place? When does it take place? The same for the film and the play. I'll be talking very briefly about Conor McPherson's life and work, so you can understand who he is. Then I'll be concentrate on comparing the story and the play with those three main topics: characters, theme, and the ending. I'm sorry for the spoilers, okay? And after that, we'll be wrapping up talking about the supernatural versus the psychological horror. So far so good? Great. So let's go. Uh, what's the concept of intermediality? So here I have the concept taken from an article, an academic article. I have the source for you in the next slide. Intermediality is a research field that deals with the relations between and inside media and the media products. Originally, the field was called Interacts Studies, and the research was mainly focused on relations between literature and mainly visual art and music. So it would be literature and a painting based on a literary work, or a music, or a song, let's put it like that, uh, especially written having in mind a literary piece of work. Okay, but nowadays the word intermediality uh, suggests that the interest is focused on all kinds of relations between all kinds of medias, and also the inside media as well. Inside media is when we analyze different media inside a work of art. Let me explain with film because it's easier. If we have a film, we do have the visual part of the film, don't we? But we also have the sound, for example, the actors talking, the soundtrack, the noises. We have also the props of the film. So everything is what we call inside media. So a film is not made of only one media. It is, you know, composed by other types of media as well. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to tackle some academic works which talks about adaptation. So the first one, I think the seminal one, is this one, A Theory of Adaptation by Linda Hutcheon, published in 2006. And she explores the ways in which stories are adapted across different media, including the transformation of literary text into theatrical performances. And that's what we are going to see, a short story being transposed to a play. She discusses the interplay between fidelity to the original work and the creative liberties taken by adapters. For Linda, it is important that the work which is based on the original one, it is more than just a copy. She wants to see more. She wants to see an extra layer. All right. And so Julie Sanders as well. Uh, this is another interesting book, Adaptation and Appropriation, first published in 2006. And in this book, we can see how adaptations are not just translations of texts into new forms, but also involve a creative process that often results in meaningful shifts in meaning and interpretation. So there is always another layer. And then there is this book here. I read it in Portuguese, but the original, I think it's in German. But in English, it's Post Dramatic Theater. All right. It was first published in 1999, and it discusses how contemporary theater often moves beyond the traditional narrative structures of literary text, instead focusing on fragmented, non-linear, multisensory approaches to storytelling. This work is significant for understanding how modern adaptations may diverge from their source materials. So, did you see that so far everything that I said, it's talking about an original text and an adaptation in which we can find differences from these original texts. Okay. Now, last but not least, actually, I think it's one of the most important here, is this book here, The Novel and the Cinema. It's quite old, 1975, published for the first time. And in this book, the author says that adaptations can be categorized into three different types: transposition, commentary, and analogy. I will explain those three concepts. Let's start with transposition. Well, what's a transposition? It is a direct transfer with minimal changes, very faithful to the original work. The changes might happen because of the different media. For example, you are familiarized with Harry Potter, especially the very first book, The Philosopher's Stone. So, uh, this book was adapted to a film. I've got here the cover of the DVD, and there are minimal changes just because you the book is a little bit long, so you can have a film which is 1 hour and a half or 2 hours, not more than that. So you have to you need some cuts, you need some changes, okay? But it is a transposition. If you read the book and you watch the film, it's more or less the same thing. Actually, this is what most children and teenagers and even adults want to see in the cinema from Harry Potter. They want to have the same kind of pleasure they had reading by watching the film. Okay. And then we go to the second concept, which is commentary. This is transferring of the story, but adding a layer of interpretation or sometimes even a layer of critique. There are changes, so you may have changes in the setting. So you have the story in the book happening in a historical moment, and then you have the story in a film or in a play in another historical moment, usually a more contemporary one. You may have changes in the characters, like adding characters or changing the name of the characters or taking some characters out, and also some subtle changes in relation to the themes. All right, the adaptation may update, for example, the context, the shift the focus, or even challenge the original work's assumption. And then I'm going to give you an example of a book that I really like, and you might be familiar with it because last year, I think Felipe Neto did a book club, and this was the first book he discussed, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. So there were two different movies with this book. The first one was released in 1966 by Francois Truffaut, and it's actually a transposition. Okay, it's quite similar, although there are some little differences. And the other one was released in 2018 with Michael Jordan. You may have watched this. So this is a commentary because you have lots of changes, but you still can see the core of the book in the film. By the way, we have a very interesting TCC by William, and it is in our library at Faculdade. He is analyzing both films in comparison to the book. I highly recommend his TCC. I'd like to bring today, as well as an example of a commentary, something that I'm quite sure everybody knows. Let me show you. Ainda estou aqui. Why is it a commentary? Because if you read the book, you are going to see that the book, there are many more things. It is longer, there are other themes, but in the film, you have only part of the book being shown to us. I'm not saying that the film is worse or better than the book. It's not nothing like that. But the film is only, I wouldn't say a small part of the book, of course not, but a part of the book. In the book, you can see there are more details. If you read the book, you can understand the film better. Okay? And the third type would be analogy. Analogy is when you have the work loosely connects to the original work. So there is, you can keep, for example, the themes, the concepts, the narrative framework, but there are a lots of changes and many significant changes. Similar ideas, but in a new setting. Do you know this film, Clueless? Brazilian is As Patricinhas de Beverly Hills, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a very good movie.
Yes, Carol, thank you. So, this film was based in a very famous book. Who knows?
Emma by Jane Austen,
Exactly.
which is a very good book.
Very nice. But not everybody knows this, and sometimes it's even difficult if you haven't read Emma to see that Clueless was based on in Emma. And then you have this as well, that The Lion King. It's an analogy of what work of art? No idea, Brenda? Yes, Daniela. Hamlet by Shakespeare. Well done. Okay. So, yeah, it is amazing. It's really amazing. Great. So, that's what I wanted to tell you today in terms of theory. Mainly these three concepts: transposition, commentary, and analogy. We are going to see them later on, okay? Now, I would like you to, we are going to watch a scene of the film, The Birds by Hitchcock, and I would like you to observe the setting. You have to tell me when and where do you think the story takes place, okay? Let me see if I can open through here. Yes, I can.
Rustlety, rustlety, now, now, now. With every stroke she shed a tear. Ristlety, rustlety, hey Johnny Dostlety, rusty, go quality. Ristlety, rustlety, now, now, now. Brought her home by the light of the moon. Ristlety, rustlety, hey Johnny Dostlety, nickety, nackety, rusty, go quality. Willety, wallety, now, now, now.
Well, I think you could already see, okay? Let me just go back where I am. So did you see the name of the school? Yes, Bodega Bay. All right. So we can say that the story, the Hitchcock's film, was set in a fictional town called Bodega Bay. This town, this fictitious town, is in California, USA. And by the car she's driving, the clothes she's wearing, we can set the story in the early 60s. Whereas the short story is set in a rural area of Cornwall in England shortly after the Second World War. And Conor McPherson's play is set in a remote, abandoned house in New England in the near future. This sentence here, New England in the near future, is actually written in the script of the play. Okay, great. So you have three different settings where and when the same story takes place. Okay, great. By the way, in Conor McPherson's play, we have during the play the name of some places. So, for example, Mount Stewart, St. Thomas, Port Argus, Lowtown, New Church, Windford, but they are not real locations. Actually, they are names, fictional names that McPherson created for the world of the play. They are likely meant to exist in the imagined setting of this dystopian version of New England. And they work to help to create a kind of isolated atmosphere and the ambiguity that the play has. Actually, not only the play, but also the film and the short story, most, especially the ending, we have some ambiguity going on. Okay, let me tell you who McPherson is. Okay, this is a picture of him when he was younger than that, but it's here. He was born in 1971 in Dublin. uh, he studied at University College Dublin. He graduated, his graduation course was philosophy and English, and he finished his graduation in 1988. Then he went straight to his master course, and he finished in 1993. While he was studying at university, he took part in two different drama groups: Drama Soc from 1989 to 1991, which was the group theater of the university, and Fly by Night, that it was founded by him and two other colleagues from college, and they were together from 1992 to 1994. This is very important in his career because it was the time in which when he actually and his friends created plays. They wrote, they direct, they act, they did everything, and they presented some of those plays in a pub during lunchtime in Dublin. And then people would go for lunch and watch the plays. And it was the time that a man from London was there, liked the play that it was playing at that moment, and invited McPherson to go to London and to be writer in residence in one of the theaters there. So nowadays, he is considered one of the best contemporary Irish playwrights. His plays have attracted good reviews and have been performed internationally. Sorry, let me do something here. Okay. Especially in West End, London, and New York Broadway. He lives in Dublin with his wife. She is a painter and a composer, and they adopted a child in 2011. He was also awarded Doctor of Literature degree honoris causa in June 2013. So he is linked with the academy, let's put it like that, with university studies. I studied more deeply three of his plays: Saint Nicholas, The Weir, and The Seafarer, right? But he also is a film director, and also he writes the scripts as well. So, for example, he wrote I Went Down. He wrote and directed Saltwater, the comedy The Actors, and The Eclipse, that, in my opinion, is the film that I think it reflects more the essence of his work. Okay, great. Well, those are the most recent ones. All right, Girl from the North Country is a musical with the songs by Bob Dylan, and Cold War, which is also an adaptation from a film. So here you have uh, the opposite. You have a stage, the play, which was based on a film, and you have also over here. Sorry, let me put her in. Some other adaptations, okay? The Dance of Death, Uncle Vanya, The Nest. So he's used to adapt. And yesterday, I found out that his new play is on. It's called The Brightening Air. And I found a very interesting interview with him. Let's see if I can put it. It's just 1 minute, so I think
we want it to be funny, and we want it to be moving and emotional. And if we can achieve any of those and tick those boxes, that's a good day at the office. So fingers crossed. The Brightening Air is a play which is set in Ireland in 1980 in a desolate rural place. And there's a brother and sister living in this house together. They're both unmarried and they're mucking along together. And family members come to visit. They're all looking for different things from this place. An old uncle is looking to use it as a destination for a religious pilgrimage. They have a sister-in-law who's looking for water from a nearby enchanted well. And the collision of all these people and their wants and their thwarted desires is about to unleash certain forces which have hitherto been unseen and kept underground. And it looks like everything is about to kick off. It feels really great to be bringing my new play here to the Old Vic, because the last show that I had on was Girl from the North Country, which also started in this theatre. It's a wonderful place full of wonderful memories, and it has a special magic which I'm hoping we can bring to bear again. With this play, I think what's special about it for me is that I think that it has a lovely intertextuality into older Irish literature and even older Irish history and older Irish spiritual history, and even my own older work too is kind of coming back and echoing in ways here too that people might see and recognize. But having said all that too, really we just also want it to be a lot of fun, and we want it to be funny, and we want it to be moving and emotional. And if we can achieve any of those and tick those boxes, that's a good day at the office.
Okay, so did you see that he talks about intertextuality between Irish literature, his work, and also intertextuality about his own works? Okay, so I'm really wanted to read this play. Probably in July, I'll grab a copy. Okay, so here what we've got, it's a saying by Dr. P.J. Matthews. He's a professor at UCD, and he says that Macpherson is now widely recognized as one of the English language's leading theatrical voices. His distinct use of the Irish voice, his humor, his masterful storytelling combined to create a distinctive theatrical experience, at once challenging and uplifting. Let me see if you are going to think the birds is uplifting at the end, okay? I'll let you think about it. So let's talk now about the characters. I will compare, due to time constraint, the short story to the play, okay? So I will skip the film here. The primary characters in the short story are Nat and his family, his wife and two children. And Nat is a practical man, very resilient. He is always trying to protect his family from the bird attacks. And the story centers on his resourcefulness and also growing despair as he realizes that the bird attacks are escalating. So he's always trying to protect his family, and he there is a moment that he says that it's almost impossible. Whereas in the play, you have the introduction of new characters. For example, we have Diane, she is a writer. We have Nat, a formal school teacher. There is nothing to do with Nat in the short story. We have Julia, a younger woman who becomes involved, sexually involved with Nat. And we have another character called Tierney. He is around his 50s, but he is actually a secondary character. In Conor McPherson's play, these characters, they are more complex, and their relationship with each other is more important than actually the fear of the birds. Did you get it? Let me show you a scene from the play. So here you have uh, Diane. Diane should be in her late 40s and or early 50s, and she is writing. She's always writing in diaries, okay? And I'm going to read a small scene that it is scene 3. It is a dialogue between Nat and Diane, and it is the moment that they realize Tierney is is living in a house across the lake. So pay attention. I'm going to read from here because it's better for me. Nat says, I think there is someone in that house across the lake. Diane, where? On the other side of the lake. I saw him yesterday morning when I was scavenging in the gas station. I think he had a gun or a shotgun. He stepped back in behind the wall when he saw me. Why didn't you say anything? He shrugs. He must be watching us. And then you've got the continuation. Yeah, well, if it was him, if he's still there, I mean, I don't know. Let's go round there. We might see him. We might see smoke coming out of his chimney. I mean, if there is someone else living here, we should. I mean, shouldn't we at least be? He's got a fucking gun, though, Diane. She's taken aback by the forcefulness of his outburst. He sees this and he says, I'm sorry. No, I know. Nat goes, Diana stands there. So imagine if the world is finished, everybody's dying, the birds are attacking, and you see another human being, it is natural that you want to, to be friends with this person because it would be another person to help you to survive. But in this case, they are afraid of the guy. They don't want to go there because he has a gun, so he might shoot them. So something is strange, isn't it? So this is about the characters and the differences of characters. Now let's talk about a little bit the differences of themes. So here we have in the short story, the story is tense, suspenseful exploration of the nature's unpredictability and humanity's vulnerability. Of course, because it reflects, remember I told you it was set during the end of the Second World War. So it reflects the post-war anxieties, mainly the fear of this uncontrollable threat. So the theme of nature turning against humanity is predominant. And there are, little focus on interpersonal dynamics. However, the play, they keep the theme of nature hostility, it places however, a stronger emphasis on human psychology and how this hostility, in a way, provokes a breakdown of social order. So the isolation, the stress of the situation lead to paranoia. Did you see? They are afraid that the guy will kill them. Betrayal, and the exploration of the darker aspects of human nature. The birds, they become just a backdrop to the characters' inner turmoil and moral dilemmas. So far, so good. I think we might have time to read another part of the play. I'm going to read just a small part, okay? So here in the picture, you have Julia. She is hurt, and Diana is helping her. But take a look at the dialogue they are having. Yes, really. You know what your problem is, Diane. You think everyone else is like you, sneaking around, writing in our little notebooks, scribbling down all your horrible blackness, and then turning around and being all sweetness and light to everybody. Right. Yeah, well, maybe you should look at your own behavior, Julia. Crawling across the floor in the middle of the night, waiting until we are all asleep to make your sordid little advances, sticking your nose into my private thoughts where it doesn't belong. Because Julia read Diana's diary. So here you've got that's bullshit. You don't even have a clue what you were talking about. Myself and Nat have discussed this together. The human race has to continue, Diane. The human race? People can still love each other. We all need to take responsibility. You just don't see it. You just don't see it that way because nobody loves you. Look how strong this speech is. And the other is helping her. Okay. And then you have the next line. Are you fucking nuts? What are you trying to bring a baby in this world for? You think it's all going to be a fairy tale? So here we realize that Julia is pregnant. And remember that I told you that Diane sort of like Nat, and then you have Julia having an affair with him. Okay, I think I'm going to tell about this one because it's going to be quicker, okay? What happens is that after this scene, Julia realizes that Nat is not there, so she wants to go and find him outside. She goes outside, but before going outside, she says that I never meant for any of these, Diane. I'm sorry, I read your diary, but I had to, something like that. But Diane locks Julia out of the house. So she actually murdered the girl and the baby, the unborn baby, because she can't go back to the house. And then there is something really horrible, weird here. Diane's voiceover saying, when you do kill someone, the first thing you think, that was easy. What's all the fuss about? The peaceful silence that descends when you've done it fills you with such relief, but it's more than that. It's the power that you get. You get that person's power. They are so completely subdued and obliterated. They have bent to your will completely, and they are just gone. You thank God for the strength, and you wonder why you didn't use it long before. She's actually bragging about the fact that she was able to kill a person, actually two people. Okay, so let's, with this, link to the ending of the both stories. The sorry to give you some spoilers, okay? The short story ends in an ambiguously thing. So we have Nat and his family barricading their home. They are listening to the birds' attacks. There is no resolution, and the story leaves the reader with a sensation that the birds will enter the house and everybody will be dead. Conor McPherson's play is a little bit different. It's also ambiguous. There is also unresolved tensions and betrayals among the characters, okay? But the bird attacks trigger this mental breakdown. They are not the main threat that remains unresolved, okay? So you have the focus here is more on the psychological issue than on the supernatural force, okay? Here uh, in this part of the play, Diane is saying that they are leaving, they are going to St. Thomas, and perhaps they are going to make 1 year or two. She doesn't know, maybe longer. So it finishes in a way that they are leaving the house, but we don't know if they are going to be able to survive or not. In the short story, they can't leave the house, they are trapped in the house. All right. Let's go back to the film and let's see the horror in the film. Probably you're gonna laugh at the special effects, okay? But let's go.
Melanie? I want you to go as quietly as possible. Do not make a sound until I tell you to run. Then run as quickly as you can. Now, does everybody understand? Yes, all right, John, you lead the way.
I have to confess that nowadays it's a bit funny. It's not so because of the birds, but it's very terrifying to have the birds going for the children's eyes. Okay, let me go on. This is also a passage from the short story. I want you to take a look at this bit here. Nat, he saved his children. The birds were inside the children's bedroom, and then his wife looked up at Nat. She looked terrified, bewildered, and he did not want her to know that he was also shaken. So he has this caring and sharing. He doesn't want to show how horrified he also is, because he wants to take care of his family. So it's different from the characters in the play. We can say that we have a contrast between the supernatural, that is the focus on the short story, and the psychological horror, which is the focus on Conor McPherson play. In this sense, I can say that the horror in Conor McPherson play is as much about what happens between the characters as it is about the external threat. Imagine to kill a person who is pregnant and to feel anything about it. It's horrible, isn't it? So, to sum up, while both works share the premise of a mysterious and violent bird's threat, McPherson's play diverges significantly from Du Maurier's short story by focusing more on the human psychology, on the relationships, the breakdown of social order, rather than on the survival against an external threat. the film also focus on the helping. I think we don't have time to watch the last scene, but here you can see that they are, helping the protagonist. They are everybody is embracing each other. It is different from the play. In this passage of sorry. Okay, let me go. In this passage from the story, we can see that Nat actually is very careful with his family. He says uh, here, we had finished dinner. He would put the stuff away, stack it neatly, get everything ship shape, handy like. His wife could help him and the children too. They would tire themselves out between now and 8:45 when the tide would ebb. Then he would tuck them down on their mattresses, see they slept good and sound until the 3 in the morning, because 3 in the morning is when the birds come. So after this, what happens inside the house is, of course, when you talk about the play, more terrifying than the threat on the outside. Here is a poster of one of the stage psychological drama is written here. And I'd like to ask you, bearing this in mind, do you think Conor McPherson's play is a transposition, a commentary, or an analogy of the Du Maurier's short story?
Commentary.
It's a commentary towards an analogy, Luisa. Well done, well done. Because it functions as a commentary, but it's almost an analogy. We can see that the birds are attacking, but there is a sort of a reinterpretation on focusing more on the human psychology and the relationships rather than the attack of the birds itself. So over here, I have some more pictures. Okay, so take a look, Nat and Diane. Here you have another Julia and Diana. Julia is the black girl. Diane is this long hair white girl. Okay, so look at the rage in Julia's face. Here you have Julia trying to calm Nat down. Okay, and over here, sorry, I think you can see. Let me stop here. Sorry, we won't have time for that. I think it's at the end. Let me go to the end. Probably. Yes. Did you see Julia with the weapon trying to hit Diane? Yeah, so we can see the violence in the play. Okay. Well, there are 5 minutes for questions. Thank you so much for having me today. In case you need and you want to ask extra questions, I have my email here. Thank you. And that's it.
Thank you, Rita. Great talk. Amazing. And we have a few comments here for you and question. We'll start with Gustavus.
Great.
Question to you. Based on your knowledge of so many works, where have you noticed the largest changes from the originals? In adaptations from novels, short stories into films, or into theater plays?
Let me see. Well, I have a book that I like a lot. It's called, in Portuguese, Encurralado. In English, I think it is, let me see if I can find it here. It's by Ian McQueen. In nutshell, nutshell, it is actually Hamlet's work, but it is a fetus telling the story. Hamlet is the fetus, and the mother is having an affair with the uncle. So you have this, Hamlet, but a very twist Hamlet. Okay, I highly recommend. And actually, the book drags a little bit, but if she is pregnant, it takes 9 months, isn't it? So it has to drag to be, a waiting moment.
Great. Thank you very much. I was thinking about you are so cultured, Rita. It embarrasses me because I was thinking of a movie.
A movie.
It was a different movie of
I
a guy that was persecuted.
Do you know Julieta by Almodóvar?
Yeah,
I gave to my group, my post-graduation group. It's a very nice, it is more a commentary than an analogy.
Analogy.
Yes, but it is based on 3 stories by the Canadian writer, so it's quite interesting. I like this one. I love Almodóvar, so I like this kind of thing. Yes, Patricia.
Then we have Bruno. Yeah. Sorry. Patricia has posted something here. Bruno has also posted, I think, some comments here. He thinks the Daphne, Hitchcock, and Macpherson, it is possible because they explore a human feeling, fear. You also mentioned horror, right? Fear that goes through time and is always with us. And he comments that James from Percival Everett, which won the Pulitzer of Fiction this month, is going to be adapted to the movies.
That's
by
great.
Percival himself, and the company of Spielberg bought the rights. So
who won Pulitzer?
Yeah, that's it,
But
Luisa.
who won Pulitzer?
Percival, James from Percival Everett. Okay, which has just won the Pulitzer of Fiction this month, Luisa. And then, people loved your presentation, which is not a surprise, Rita. Of course,
thank you.
Amazing,
you are so generous.
Interesting, brilliant. So,
thank you, guys.
on that note, Rita, and on behalf of everyone here, we'd like to thank you for sharing your knowledge, your love of all these literary works. And I would also like to thank everybody here who participated. So thank you very much.
I thank you, guys. Thank you so much for watching me, and my love for Irish literature is really genuine. I wish I could go to Ireland, many more times, and then I would get lots of books. I always, when I travel, I leave my clothes behind and fill my bags with books,
Of course. After all, we need to recharge our batteries, don't we?
Yeah. Buy them here.
It's open for anybody who'd like to add a final comment, question. John, over to you.
I have a question for you, Rita. I want to pick your mind. What are you watching at the moment? Any recommendations for what are you reading? So, yeah, what's your favorite at the moment? What are you interested in?
At the moment, actually, today I was reading O Livro das Portas, the Book of Doors, because it is in our group club, the Cliffhanger Book Club. Okay, but I'm also reading Jhumpa Lahiri's short stories called The Interpreter of Melodies, because I'm trying to prepare a lesson with it. So the thing is, during the term, I needed to read for my lessons. Okay, for pleasure, I usually read when I am on holiday. Okay, it's difficult to have both. But Claire Keegan is wonderful. Yes, I love her. Okay, it's really nice. And in terms of Irish, I read recently Long Island it's the continuation of Brooklyn by Toybin. Have you read Brooklyn? You might have seen the film. Yes, so I read the continuation, Long Island. It's a beautiful story. I highly recommend. It's really nice.
Or is it a commentary, in your opinion?
Because
based
it's
on what we
read.
Yeah, the book and then
I
the
think
movie.
No, it's just a continuation. There is a gap of 10 years between one. I think it's of 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, between Brooklyn and Long Island. But I mean, if you've seen the Italian guy in the first book, it was kind of obvious that he was going to cheat on her. So it's not actually a surprise. Yes, the way
nice
he was,
suggestions.
like a womanizer. Great. But it's I love reading. It's really my hobby, something that I like doing. And thank you very much for all the comments, for all the questions. They are very helpful, as always.
Thank you, Rita. And thank you, everyone. So I'll see you soon in other lives. Okay, so thank you for participating. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Good night,
Bye,
all.
Patricia. Good night. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Pedro.
Bye, Pedro. Bye, Claudio.
Bye-bye, Claudio. Nice to have you here.
Nice to have you here.
Bye-bye. Congratulations, Rita.
Thank you,
As
Claudio.
always. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Stop the recording.
Hang on, stop recording. Oh, I should have. I always forget. Let me, haven't I? Stop recording.